Welcome back, blade lovers. This old sword with you. Today we are surveying the work of Mazwan Mokhtar, a prolific designer for TwoSun Knives primarily, although he may have his designs produced elsewhere. I am not certain, and I have not seen them. Okay, all the qualifiers stated. I'd like to say that Mr. Mokhtar is among probably the finest designers that TwoSun has, alongside of folks like Night Morning, Wong Designs, and Jelly Jerry, Max Kachuk, as well as others. But there's something very special about Mazwan's designs, just in the modern look to them, the strength that they have, the sleek lines, his use, if you'll notice, at least on the three on the right, of very deep bellies on the blades, very high grinds, at least on one or two of them. Well, we'll get into all the particulars in a minute. And I've got my crib notes with me because according to my YouTube channel, I have done reviews on 5 of Mazwan's knives. So I'd like to begin with one that's a little different than the rest, although they're all so very different. And that's the 139, and they all begin with TS, the TS139 Barracuda. So while not all have nicknames, and let me brighten things up here just a little bit. There we go. While they don't all have nicknames, some do, and I'll give you the ones that I know. So this is the TS139 Barracuda. This has been out for a while, maybe a couple of years. It is looks for all the world like an integral frame knife. It has a long Warncliffe style blade. It's a front flipper as well as a disc opener, and you can use them both. The disc is a little close to the frame. You got to really kind of dig your thumb in there, but it is a pronounced edge on the disc. So although there's no jimping there, you can get it open pretty well. Maybe front flipping is the preferred method, however. Look at the trapezoidal shape of the handle and the modern grooved lines that we have in there. Flat carbon fiber inlay on both sides. I like it when it's equal. I agree with many other reviewers that when you have a show side with an insert and you don't have it on the clip side, the back side, it's kind of like something's missing, like they didn't really make the effort. But TwoSun does such a fantastic job in execution. This knife is amazingly sharp. The steel is S90V, and that's one of the super steels. I won't give you all the characteristics of it. You can look it up, but it's up there with M390 and different elemental constitution, but it is a higher end steel. Not sure these are still available. They may be, but most of these knives go back at least a year, maybe at least 6 months in the case of the fixed blade. But I will try to give you links from White Mountain, of all places. Pretty nice almost drop shut action, lighter blade, thinner blade, so we don't necessarily have the weight for it to go all at once. But the thing I'm admiring is just the cleanness of the lines and the way these are designed. And of course, I will say again, TwoSun does Fantastic engineering on these to get them to look right, to come out right, and be faithful to the designer's sketches and blueprints. TS139. Going down here, we have the first fixed blade that I'm aware of that Mazwan Mokhtar has designed, and this is the TS265. Let me do a quick check of the crib notes here. Yes, indeed, it is the 265. I believe it does have a nickname. You can let me know what it is. I recall hearing it in the past, but you know, on none of the advertising on eBay and elsewhere do you necessarily find these names. This is a Sandvik steel knife, and I'll mention one other thing. With this exception amongst this bunch here, there's no branding on Mazwan's designs. This is an exception. So you have TwoSun Knives 14C28N. You have Mazwan's logo. You may have designed this in collaboration with someone, I'm not sure. And you know, if I'm incorrect that he is the designer of this, and I'm going to check. Alright, did a little quick checking. Yes, this is a Mazwan design. I was just looking at the logos on the side of the blade. They were a little confusing. And I did find also that this does have the nickname the Puffer. Interesting. The Puffer. So, really fantastic. Deep belly on this. About a 2/3 flat grind. Sandvik steel. Nice swedge on the top. Great size. It's a small-ish knife, but my fingers get completely on it. Got a great set of jimps there on the spine of the blade. Both a piercer as well as a slicer. Nice balance. And the material is kind of a burlap micarta. Heard other people give this its own name, but I'm going to call it a burlap, kind of a brown burlap micarta. It's very coarse grained underneath, but not slippery, just smooth. Have a crowned, kind of chamfered spine of the tang, and a good sized blade, just enough. Comes in, by the way, a very nice Kydex sheath here with a textile lock on it. And they did us the favor of giving a push-off point. So you can get your thumb in there. If you decide to carry this in your pocket, remove the tech lock. And this could qualify very nicely for front pocket carry. That is the Puffer TS265. All right, making our rounds back to our next knife. Let's go with the Karambit claw here. So this guy is the TS242. This is a beautiful Karambit with a very tall blade, and it is flat ground. Steel on this guy is M390, and this is where you're going to begin to see that lack of branding. By the way, same thing on the Barracuda. Complete absence of branding. I haven't disassembled any of these knives. There hasn't been a need to. They're very smooth. Came through pretty much smooth and on bearings, drop shut from the start. But this one, you'll notice, does not have a pocket clip. Mazwan stated that he conferred with some locals on the design of this who are Pencak Silat, Indonesian martial artists, and they don't find the need for a pocket clip because they can stash it directly in a pocket or put it underneath the belt, and then you would draw it out and you could use the other hand to snap it open here. However, it also does have a front flipper kind of setup here, so you can open it there as well. You've got the opening hole and you've got the front flipper. It is a gorgeous knife. Whether you use it in the martial arts, use it for claw type cutting work or whatever, it's just, the nice thing is with no clip on, there's nothing to interfere with the handle material. And you have these tire tread style grooves around the entire circumference of the ring. And the ring itself is very thick. Holds extremely well in the hand for the Karambit style point forward, edge forward orientation. But you can forget the ring and get a full grip on it here if you decide to use it with the point up, edge forward. Very smooth, short throw on the opening on this because of the blade design. Frame lock, hardened steel insert, all the usual appointments. As Karambits go, I would say it stands apart, and if you can manage to carry it without the clip, fine. If not, for me, it's a work of art, whether it's carried or not. That is the TS242 Karambit Claw. And again, no markings. There might be some on the inside, as I started to get to earlier. They say if you take them apart, you may see the maker's mark on the inside. So, moving on, we get to this beauty. This is probably the most recent of all of my Mazwan designs. This is the TS301 Lockdown, is the nickname for it. It's a Mazwan Mokhtar design once again. You see the only marking on it, as far as I know, is going to be the steel 14C 28N. We have nothing on the show side. Completely sterile, as they say. The military often will purchase items that are sterile. They have no stampings, no markings, so that should they fall into enemy hands, they may not have an idea where they came from, which army was carrying them, etc. At least that was what it was in theory. Nowadays, probably you could just look them up on the internet, do a photo search. Brown linen micarta on the handle, and carbon fiber bolster, titanium frame lock, very smooth, fires very nicely with the thumb studs, and you can give it a finger flick if that's a convoluted way you want to open it. Actually might be smooth for you. For me, I prefer the thumb on the thumb stud. The double thumb stud means it's going to work well for lefties, even though you can't carry it in the left pocket with the blade tip up, unfortunately. Well, you could, but the blade would be back, right? Got a good look at that tread-like backspacer of titanium. Really nice. And just the finish on the clip, it's feathery smooth looking. And let's see how this guy is locking up. This guy is locking up on the thumb studs. ever so smooth. As I said, drop shut. Beautiful trailing point blade. I'd call it a deep belly Bowie, but you can call it what you like. The 301, TS301. And I'm not sure that guy's got a name. Might. It's the Lockdown. I already said that. Okay, having an interesting day here. We're getting down to the last one, the TS191. TS191 is the Gulper. And it's kind of cool that Mazwan does have nicknames for most of his knives, it would appear. I think with the exception of the Karambit claw, although that may have a nickname as well. We'll call it the Karambit claw for now. So this guy is another S90V, the Gulper, the TS191. It is a full titanium handle with some beautiful millwork there. Carbon fiber equally on both sides. Handsome looking clip. Follows the dimensions of the inset there, the carbon fiber insert, identically. It just covers it over. It doesn't go too wide, doesn't go too narrow. That's a design idea that you don't see everywhere. That kind of consideration. Really great lines. And this is definitely a drop shut knife. Look at that. And the lockup on this guy is, keep looking for internal stop pins, but they're not on this one. Although they might be, and they're so internal, so hidden, you can't see them. But I am not seeing a stop pin on this one. So that could be the case. Either way, it's really interesting, the mechanics and the way it's designed. And another one that looks like it's integral, but there's your seam, but just completely enclosed. So the TS191, well, let's see if I missed anything along the way. Well, we've got the puffer in 14C28. We've got the Lockdown in 14C28. We have the Barracuda in S90V. And in M390, we have the Karambit claw. So just a little appreciation for the design work of Mazwan Mokhtar, the execution of TwoSun on all of these knives. And again, TwoSun is an incredible bargain. A lot of these knives, looking at them for the first time, if you didn't know what they were, you'd assume they were a $300, maybe even a $400 knife. And yet, I'm seeing knives like this perfect example of design right here, going for around $100 or less these days. I guess it's not a popular one. You're getting M390 and a beautiful design. What more could you ask for? Well, that's my survey of Mazwan's designs. Hopefully this was interesting to you, and you may want to run out and pick one up. I'd certainly recommend it. I will, again, put the links, if available, over to White Mountain, and that way you can pick one up. Don't forget to use my 10% discount, Old Sword, and we'll be seeing you soon. Enjoy.